Okay, everybody, we're going to, in this episode, finish up some little details that we didn't quite finish, and then we'll put it together, and we should be ready to show you a completed model that looks really nice. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into this. What I'm going to do is there are there's 4 and 5, 6 little details on the bottom of the saucer that I need to make sure to paint. So I'm going to use, I'm going to go ahead and use Ghost Gray paint, acrylic Ghost Gray instead of the airbrush, and I'm going to use just a normal, traditional paintbrush to get these little squares, they're not squares, they're rectangles, to get them all painted up and make the bottom of the saucer pop a little bit, okay? But I'm really pleased with the way it turned out. Now, it's not, a perfect, it's not a perfect model, not a perfect, I shouldn't say perfect. It's not an accurate, totally accurate depiction of the ship from one of the movies, whether it's Star Trek 4 or 5 or whatever. Because as you recall, the Enterprise A didn't come around until the end of Star Trek 3, The Search for Spock, I believe, because Kirk, of course, destroyed the Enterprise refit, the original Enterprise refit. That lasted from the 1977 movie. It lasted all the way through Star Trek 4, or Star Trek 3, The Search for Spock. And then at the end of that one, they introduced the new Enterprise A. So this one is that Enterprise A. I just went ahead and, like I said in another video, I really like the blue colors on the ship and the way it kind of the way it kind of pops and all that. So I went ahead and, instead of making this the refit with battle damage, I went ahead and made it the A. Now, you can make it the refit with battle damage if you want. Lots of folks do that. There's nothing wrong with that. And that's, the beauty of making models, right? The beauty of making models is, this is your model. Well, this is your model. It's yours to display. It's yours to show off your particular talents. And so, don't get caught up with, oh, this needs to be perfect. I'm talking to like beginners, right? So if you're a beginner, just focus on honing your modeling skills. That's what I would recommend. Take your time, be patient, and it kind of keeps you focused on something that you can do with your hands, and allows you to to feel fulfilled at the end. You've got the model ship that you've painted, you've worked hard at, you put these beautiful decals on, you've used all kinds of glue and all kinds of stuff to make sure that the ship gets to what it needs to be, right? So that's what the model building journey is all about. And so this whole little speech is to tell you, if it's not exactly like it is in the movie, that's okay. Don't worry about that. That's quite all right. All right. So as I'm putting these last little details on, just keep that in mind. I'm not really going screen accurate with this. What I'm doing is, I just want to put something together that I can be really proud of. Now, the Aztec details, they make it pop, which is why I did it. I did it because I was like, I want to make this ship really look nice, really be painted nice. And so that's why I did the Aztec detailing on this. And if I really, really wanted to get a little more screen accurate, I would have probably focused a little more on the lower dome and painting that up a little more, adding some little details here and there. But that's not the purpose. With model building, you can always add a whole bunch of more details. You really can. So, all right, so let me go ahead. I'm going to finish up the taping here, the masking, should I say, the masking of the parts that need to be masked off so that I can use the paint and add just a few little more details that I think would kind of finalize this ship. And once I do that, we will paint it, and then we'll be ready. So, hey, something else. When it comes to putting paint mask on, you know, I'm using painter's tape. I'm trying to be really careful not to put the tape onto the decal that's on here, because these decals are still not protected yet. You know, they're on here, but I haven't covered them with any kind of gloss coat or anything. So it's a little dangerous to be doing it this way. So just a word of caution, if you're going to come back and add paint after the decals, try not to put any kind of paint mask over the decals if there's no gloss coat on the decal, all right? Only because you may rip that decal off, and so you don't want to do that, okay? Obviously, the other solution is to not use painter's tape and just, you know, go freehand over the decal, over the area you want to paint. But I'm personally going to use this painter's tape because I want to try to make sure that all the lines are as straight as possible. And, you know, like I said in another video as well, when you do come back to paint, you don't want a bunch of paint on your brush that'll drip everywhere and bleed everywhere. You just want a minimal amount of paint on your brush so that so it doesn't drip everywhere. Okay, let's go ahead and get this going. Get the brush. I'm gonna go ahead and use the brushes I purchased, the Pandafly brushes. They're turning out to be really cool, nice little micro brushes. I'm having fun with these. I'll leave a link in the description if you want to pick up your own set of brushes. But I'm using this Dark Ghost Gray 1921578. It's Testers. I'm going to use this for the paint. Let me just go ahead and shake it up. Get all the paint mixed really well. Okay. Oh, by the way, a couple of things to mention on the saucer section. I went ahead and I used a green permanent marker and a yellow or red permanent marker, and I just painted the little navigation lights here and here. I used a yellow permanent marker for these navigation lights, the rest of them. So you can see, you know, this is green here, and of course red there, and at the front a yellow. I did the same thing with the secondary hull. So you can see right here I used a yellow permanent marker here, and I used a yellow permanent marker there. So, you know, some of these things you can just use, be creative, right? Whatever, you know, you don't necessarily have to use Testors paint for some of these really small little parts. So yeah, I went ahead and picked up a set of these Pen and Gear permanent markers that were, you know, color. They came in a set of a bunch of other colors, and these work perfect. The tips are the right size, and they work perfect to put those those colors on the ship that I wanted and needed. All right, let's go ahead and continue here. Let's get some paint on the tip. Remember, you don't have to dip the entire brush down at all. Take some paint off of that, and let's just start. Let me do this. Okay, we're back. Let's go ahead and take this off, see how this came out. All right, so I'm going to carefully make sure that we're not over the decal there. Let's pull this off. Now, notice how I'm using a toothpick, or in this case, a bamboo stick, which same consistency. Bamboo stick to kind of rub between the actual model and the masking painter's tape. I'm doing that because, you know, this wood is definitely a little more gentle than metal. So once I get a little piece of the painter's tape up, I'll just grab it with the tweezers at that point. It's just a little method of making sure that you're not rubbing against the plastic or the tape with something that's metal. Now these here are already lifted, so I'm going to use tweezers. Okay, there's definitely bleeding happening here. So I'm gonna come back around and see what using a toothpick or a bamboo stick will do to some of this. Just kind of scratch the acrylic off, the acrylic paint off, and that seems to be working fine. And, you know, like I said, I used a very light coat. Now, if the coat had been a lot thicker, it may not be coming off this easily. But since I used a very light coat, yep, this is working just fine. There you go. Very good, very good. So let's just keep going here. Take the bleed out of there. You know, the other thing that actually helps with scraping off the extra paint with the toothpick here, or the bamboo stick, is the fact that there is already some, there's a gloss coat on here, and I'm painting over that gloss coat. So, you know, the gloss coat actually acts like, kind of like glass. You know, when you put paint on glass, you can scrape it off easily. And that's what's happening here. There's a chemical underneath the acrylic paint in that gloss coat that's allowing me to just kind of scrape off the excess. Which, you know, now that I think about it, with the Aztec colors, you definitely don't want to paint over any mistakes, because then you remove the Aztec feature of that particular little section. And, if that happens, you just lose the effect. So this is actually really easily coming off. It's very interesting. It's coming off, and it's leaving little shards of paint that you can just, or shavings of paint that you can just wipe away. So very, very good. Very good here. There you go. Now, something else about this technique, I am not digging into the model with this at all. I'm just lightly scraping against this, okay? I'm trying to be very careful because, obviously you don't want to leave a big scraped line against the underneath the paint there that you're taking off. There it is. Looks good. It's not perfect, but remember, like I said earlier, I'm not trying to recreate a model from the movie. I mean, yes, this is the model from the movie, but I'm not trying to be exact or accurate. I'm just trying to give it a general look of the Enterprise A from the movie. All right. Let's try to see what we can do here. This little area is being a little more stubborn. There we go. All right. Yeah, I think that's going to look okay. Wonderful. So now we have the details under the saucer looking good, and I'm going to go ahead and bring in the secondary hull. This is a snap kit, so in theory I can just basically snap this together, but if you look at the neck here, there's a little hook here, a hook there, so it'll catch in on the underneath here. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm just going to snap it on here at the end. Okay, everyone, it's time for the big reveal of the completed ship. I'm really excited about this. So I pretty much left the base the way it came. I didn't use any glue on the base at all. In fact, let me take the ship off the base and just discuss that before the reveal here. I'm going to leave that to the side. Yeah, so it did get a little film on it. I don't want to work on this base. I guess I could sand it, paint it, and varnish it again with some clear coat, but I'm gonna leave it just as is. And again, there was no glue used on this base. I just simply did what the instructions said to do. The one neat thing is that you can adjust the top to make this, kind of angle as you need it to angle, or just keep it straight. I'm keeping it straight for my purposes of displaying the Enterprise, but if you were to build this ship and add the battle damage decals, I guess you could angle it to show that the ship is drifting in space, so to speak, or whatever, or an action pose. But yeah, the base was really easy to assemble. No special, nothing special needed. Pop everything where it goes, and it's ready to go. Now, let's move on to the ship. So here we have this wonderful ship, the USS Enterprise NCC 1701A, and I'm very, very happy with the results. I went ahead and sprayed a clear coat over the decals one more time, and then I sprayed over it with the matte, the wheel matte clear coat. This rattle can here, Duplicolor wheel matte clear coat, to kind of give it to bring down the gloss just a little bit and create a custom look, as is stated on the can. Wonderful little ship. I love it. Again, the biggest problems with this ship are the very tiny pieces. If you have small fingers and you can handle those pieces, great. I don't, and so for me, those tiny pieces really played havoc with my hands. Let me kind of show you what I'm talking about right here. This particular little piece here, the observation deck on the BC deck here. This is a very small little piece. As you remember in one of my videos before, I had to cut off the snap tight pieces on either end to get it to fit in, and then I just glued this in. So I glued this little piece here into the ship instead of snapping it in, so to speak. So yeah, that went in. Some of the little decals, like right back here, this decal here was very hard to put on. You had to be very careful, and I used a lot of the Microsol setting solution to get it to sit there. The bars on the side of the saucer here, I'm very, very happy with the way this came out. You can see the pre-work through these decals here. You know, the painting I did with the Aztecing, you can kind of see through these, and it just gives it a really nice look. I love the way that looks. But those were tricky as well. You've got to be very careful with the way you they come in sections, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sections, and then 2 in the back. And just keep in mind as you're building this this ship that in the back here, this deck here, this multi-window deck goes on the starboard side, the right side of the saucer in the back. And then of course you have on the left side the little windows. That's the big difference between the two, because other than that, all these other decals have the same window pattern. And so you've got to be careful with that there. Okay. And the rest of this, you know, I painted the blue here and here. These are decals. And of course, decals back here. Again, very, very, very small little decals that you've got to take your time with and make sure you get it all right. Again, I'm really, really, really happy with the way all this came out. I did use the ultra fine permanent marker, Sharpie permanent marker, to create all the windows on the sides here. The only ones that I didn't need to do that with were the windows that were on the saucer section, on the side of the saucer section that comes on the decals, and of course these black marks here around the sensor dome at the bottom of the lower half of the saucer section. Those were already there on part of the decals. As you recall, just a while ago, I repainted some of these details here to kind of give it a nice little look. And I am so very, very happy with the way all this came out. It's been a great journey. I really appreciate you joining. Please don't forget to like and subscribe for future content. I'm going to be starting another series, building series. Have several different models, and I need to make that decision which series comes next. So stay tuned, and I leave you with some parting shots of the completed model for your enjoyment. And I just want to also say thank you so much for joining me. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. The information, contact email is in the About section of my channel, and I'd be more than happy to answer any questions you might have. All right. Thanks again, my friends. We'll see you soon.